Okay. As the last video end, we were just finding the price of our payment. Now, again, remember this house payment is about $700 a month, but like you would have taxes and insurance and all that other stuff on top of it. Okay. Now, if you want, I can type this into Desmos. So let me open up Desmos quick here. Where's my tab for that? Right here. All right, so if I clear this and I enter that same problem, so I have 150,000, 1, 2, 3, parentheses, what was it, 0.0375. And again, houses and cars are monthly. So, and then again, you might have to click over here to have your parentheses look good. And then I'm going to divide by. So again, I'm just going to hit the divide key. And again, Desmos is really good about lining it up like it's supposed to. Usually calculators don't do that. So that's why you need so many parentheses. So it's kind of nice. And again, I'm using my shift key and stuff to type this in, but you can type it in on the keyboard there too. Divided by, again, monthly is 12. And again, I might not tell you it's monthly. People just know houses and cars are paid monthly. And let's see, where's my exponent key? And again, I'm going to use a negative. Now, our Desmos, I don't think it will matter. So we'll try this. And again, you can use this key, or I have a, a keyboard I use. So, oh, see, it's not in the right spot. Go back down there. So 3, 6, 0, and then another end of parentheses. Nope, see how that's not in the right spot. So I'm going to go down here. There we go. Okay, and I get the exact same payment. And again, round to the nearest penny. Okay. The other thing you can do is I went ahead and I went to Zillow, kind of like your web resource project, okay, and I went to their mortgage calculator. So I just Googled Zillow mortgage calculator, and I typed in the home price. We had no down payment on this one, so it's 0, 30-year fixed, and then I typed in our interest rate. It likes to do the current rate, which is higher right now because interest rates have gone up. But I did 3.75. And if you look over here, you're like, Julie, your answer's wrong. Well, no, my answer is principal and interest. So they rounded to up to the nearest dollar, but see how that matches. I had $694.67. They just rounded up to $695. So I can check my answer here. The reason theirs is higher is because they estimate your taxes and your insurance and your PMI insurance, right? And so that's why this would be reality if you actually bought a $150,000 house. Okay. All right. I am going to, so you can use that to double check as well. All right. I am going to get back to my worksheet here. Can I shift that over? Just give me a second. I got to move that over. Okay. All right. So when we're done paying off the house, how much did you actually pay? And again, this is kind of like interest and total paid and contributions. There is no formula except the ones we make up. And you might want to add those to the bottom of your sheet here. All right, so when you're done paying, you never paid, how much did the house really cost you? Okay, so the total cost is really everything you paid, right? Which is kind of like your contribution. So you have your payment amount. And again, houses and cars are, monthly, so 12 months, and then however many years. And this is 30 years, okay? Plus any down payment you make. So any money that you put down. So, and that again, car payments, usually you put a down payment too. All right. So I'm going to just total this up. So our payment in this case was what? 694.67. Because remember, the house really didn't cost you $150,000. It only cost you $150,000 if you paid cash. If you have to borrow money, then you're not really paying that, because you have a boatload of interest that you're going to have to pay. Because you're borrowing money for a very long period of time. All right, so I have the I need 67 times what? 12 months times 30 years. And I get that much. And usually people freak out a little bit. And again, no down payment on this one. Okay, so usually it's a down payment, but this time 0. All right. So that is what this $150,000 house is really going to cost you. And it's not that unusual for it to be about double, what you borrow. If you borrow $150,000, it's not unusual for that to be about $300,000. And then again, how much interest did you pay? Okay, so again, there is no set formula for interest when you're dealing with compound things. You have to kind of make up your own formula. So interest is your total cost minus the ticket price. Okay, so in this case, our total cost is this right there, and the ticket price was $150,000. Okay, And so if I subtract those, right, that's actually, I don't need a calculator. It's going to be what? 100,081.20. So again, you're paying about, $100,000 in interest. And usually people freak out about that. Actually, for a house, that's a good investment. So usually houses appreciate. So in the long run, that's not that big a deal as long as you can afford your house payment. Cars, unfortunately, the interest on a car would be way less. But cars depreciate in value usually. And so unless it's a classic car, you're paying all this interest on losing something that's going to lose value. So even though on a car, the interest might be $4,000, $3,000, but you're not gaining value. So on a house, yeah, it's freaky to see like, oh my gosh, I'm going to end up paying $250,000 or $300,000 for a house that's not that expensive, at least in this market. But in the long run, this house might double in value, triple in value over the time that you own it. And so, that's usually where housing is a good thing. All right, let's look at making an amortization schedule. Okay, our payment is fixed, meaning this is not an adjustable rate mortgage, meaning that it is never, ever going to change, which again, with inflation is nice because you're locked into this payment. Even if inflation doubles, triples over time, your payment stays the same. The only bad news is taxes can go up, but your payment, if it's fixed, is going to stay there. And if you're at a high interest rate, like my first house was at 10%, what you can do is pay like $1,000 or $2,000 to refinance when interest rates go low. So I think on that 10% loan, after a few years, I refinanced at 6% interest, and then I think I refinanced again maybe at 4%. So I think my old house I refinanced twice because of interest rates going down. All right, so how do we make an amortization schedule? Okay, basically this is simple interest on a month-to-month basis, kind of like student loans, credit cards on a month-to-month basis. That's the only time we really use simple interest. So I equals PRT, but T is always going to be 1/12 because it's a month at a time. All right, so principal is the amount you're borrowing. So this is your principal right now. So $150,000. Interest rate was what? 0.0375. And time is 1 month. Because the bank can only charge you interest a month at a time because you're paying off this loan slowly. So it's kind of like a moving target. You're changing how much you owe every time you make a payment. Same with a car. All right, so I typed it in. Okay, my principal that I owe, my interest rate, and 1/12. And so most of my payment is actually interest. So this is how much interest I owe the bank because they're charging me interest on the full $150,000. All right, so if I subtract these two numbers, and again, you can make a nice chart for your test, is do this. All right, whatever's left after they get their interest is what comes off your principal. So I am going to take 694.67 minus, what is that, 468.75. Whatever's left is what you are paying off your loan. All right, so, and then again, if I were you, you could, highlight things. You can do whatever you want. So if you want a highlighter, you could make a nice cheat sheet where you take these two numbers, right? So those two go together, you subtract them. So this minus that, and then you get that answer right there. All right, so I'm going to take 150,000 minus that part that's going to come off. And so whatever's left is my new principal. So I did pay a little bit of my house off. Right there. Okay. All right. And then we're going to do another month. I'm going to pause it a little bit. I have some background noise, so I'm going to pause and then I'll pick up in a second here. Okay, that was a little bit freaky because basically my TV turned itself on while I was in here with loud music. So my husband is outside working on the yard. I have no idea what happened. So that's a little creepy. All right. Okay. So let's keep going. So this process is going to continue. Okay. So again, but the problem is my principal keeps changing. So this P keeps changing. It's the only part that keeps going down because you're paying off your loan. Okay. So here we go. This new amount comes over here. So you have your new principal. Your interest rate is fixed, so that does not change, 375 and 1/12. Okay, so I'm going to take my calculator, and I have that still stored from last time, so I'm just going to put times 0.0375, that's my interest rate, and then times 1/12, because it's a month at a time. All right, so that's going to be how much interest comes off, and again, it doesn't change by a lot, okay? And so I'm going to subtract these two numbers. And what that does is that tells me this interest is going to be paid to the bank from this amount, and whatever's left comes off my principal. So I'm going to take 694.67 minus 468.04, hit enter. This much is coming off my principal. Okay, so I'm going to write that number down, 226.63, and then again this keeps moving. So these two are going to subtract, and then the answer is going to be there. So you're going to take these two answers now, so this minus that, to get the new amount there. All right, so I'm going to take 149,774.08 minus 226.63, and again, that is my new amount that I owe. Okay, and then I could keep going. So if it's month 3, what would happen is my payment is fixed. This guy is not going to change. But in my formula, right, this number is continually changing. So this new number comes down. And with a car, this is exactly how it works too. You're slowly paying it off. That's why if you pay extra on your loan, it goes faster, because then that money comes straight off your loan. So if you pay extra over your payment, that subtracts from your principal. So if you pay an extra $200 a month on a loan, it comes straight off here. It's not subject to interest, which is nice. Right? Again, you would multiply these, get whatever that is coming off your loan, subtract these two to get the amount coming off your principal over here, and then you take the old principal minus what comes off and get new, and you keep on doing that. All right, I'm going to see if, I know there's amortization schedules online, so I'm going to see if I can find one for you and show that. So I'm going to pause quick, and then we're going to look at that. The other thing is adjustable rate mortgage. The problem with those is maybe they get you in a house at, say, a low interest rate like 3.75 like we have here for the first, say, 5 years, and then after that it jumps to like, say, 10% or 8% or something higher. Or they might, like in the old days, they got you in at, say, 2%, right, and then jump to 6%. That's kind of when we had the housing crisis, which is kind of what happened in Ankeny. Is people did a adjustable rate mortgage the first, you know, whatever, 2 or 3 years, they were at like 2% interest, but then it jumped to 6%, and they couldn't afford their payments anymore. So just got to be careful that you can afford, you know, that payment regardless of what's going to happen to it. All right, I'm going to pause and see if I can find Zillow or somewhere with an amortization schedule. Okay, I went to this website up here, amortization-calc.com/mortgage-calculator-. Okay. And again, I did kind of what I did on the Zillow one. Notice that this one actually rounds to the nearest penny, so I can check my you know, mortgage payment accurately. And again, 150 down, no down payment, and so forth. And then if you scroll down, it gives you the amortization table right down here. All right. So it tells you, now again, they round to the nearest penny or whole dollar, so it's not going to be exact like our chart is, but it tells you the interest, how much comes off principal. Again, they subtract, and you see how your new balance is $149,774. They don't have the pennies like the 0.08. The next month you make another payment, right? Again, they round to the nearest dollar. So then you can slowly see this. So these numbers are similar to what we got when we did it in hand. By hand, they just round to the nearest dollar every month. They did not do it to the nearest penny, but at least it gives you kind of an idea. All right, so let me go back to what we did. Okay, so, you know, these are close to what we got. We're a little more precise because we went to the nearest penny. All right, I think, let's see, we're going to keep going. So I'm going to stop this video here. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. I think one more video should do it, I hope.